So I remember when I was young, I used to have this fantasy that the world would end, but I was the only person that somehow lived, and I played this scenario in my head almost nightly. Like it's how I slept at night. It's how I put myself to sleep. Like there was nobody to read me bedtime stories. My dad worked. My mom didn't read. I mean, they probably did when I was young, but I'm talking like when I was like 5 or 6, and from then on, uh, I've always had a hard time sleeping. So I would start writing stories in my head, and that's where I learned how to write. But I never really wrote down anything until I was like 30, maybe younger than that, maybe 25, 26. But I never wrote down anything until then. So all my writing was in my head, and usually laying down in bed trying to find a way to fall asleep. And I always went to this scenario of the world ended. And that each time the world ended a little differently than the last time. Once in a while it was a nuclear attack, a bomb, sometimes a tornado. When I say the world ended, I don't mean maybe it did. I guess that doesn't make any sense if there's a nuclear attack and it killed. Well, yeah, I mean, sure. It killed everybody except for me. A tornado wouldn't do that. So I guess maybe when I don't, like I said, I never wrote them down. But I do remember a dream I had one time of a world-eating tornado. And I remember vividly running from the downstairs, the basement, to the upstairs to find that there was nothing left in the wake of this, just rubble, and nobody else. I couldn't find anyone. I ran around the house. I couldn't find anyone. I ran around the city, and I couldn't find anything. And that was September 10th, 2001. I had that dream. I remember it vividly because the next day the Twin Towers were attacked. And I've always kind of wondered if that was in some way connected. I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just like this irony, but because I didn't even really at that point I was kind of stupid to the fact of the World Trade Center. I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. I'm a boy from I'm a kid from Midland, Michigan, who at that point didn't really pay attention to politics and all that shit around it. I did after that. It taught me that I needed to open my eyes. But anyways, that's not the point of this video. As a child, as a kid, from like 6 years old to 13, 14, whatever, until I learned that masturbation would put me to sleep. I would write these stories in my head about the world coming to an end. And it's I am the simplest person in the world. My existence is so simple. And when I was a kid, the story would be written that I would have a couple days of mourning. Of course, my mom and dad, my family are all gone. They're all dead, right? So there was hurt and there was pain. But eventually you have to push yourself past that pain. And eventually I would find myself at a grocery store, and I would, for the next month, and I don't know if it's even scientifically, humanly possible to do this, but for the next month, Dennis would gorge himself on chips and dip because growing up, we only got chips and dip on special occasions, and the end of the world might be the most special occasion that there is, right? Even if I lived through this nuclear happening, eventually the nuclear aftermath is going to end me because I'm I'm a kid. I don't know how to protect myself from this scenario. So I locked myself away into. I don't know if Walmart was around when I was a kid like that. I don't remember Walmart's being around. It was generally a Kmart or a Meijer here in Michigan, and I would just consume as much pop. It's called pop, by the way. Uh, at that point, I was drinking Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew. I hadn't learned the beauty of. Did I say Coca-Cola? I meant Pepsi. Pepsi and Mountain Dew. I hadn't learned the deliciousness that is Coca-Cola. And then pop and chips or chips and dip, um, because that was only given to us on special occasions. So I would just consume mass amounts of chips and dip, just regular made right plain potato chips and French onion chip dip. Which, by the way, the chip dip of today does not taste like the chip dip of yesterday. I don't know if they did. I think they use sour cream now, and it used to be whole milk. I don't know, but it doesn't taste the same. I still consume more of it than one person should when I have the funds, but it's not the same. But they say that about everything, don't they? It's not the same. So fast forward many years later. I'm 48 years old. And the other day I was contemplating the end. I contemplate the end a lot, even through the years. We're 3 decades into this, 4 decades into this. What would you do if the world ended tomorrow? And now it would be different. It would be. I mean, I would probably still consume large amounts of chips and dip, but I would also just probably sit in the liquor area, and just consume mass amounts of liquor, because why the fuck not, right? I mean, what are you gonna do? You're the only person in the world that left, so I wouldn't even venture anywhere. I would find the first Walmart, and I don't think you could drink everything that's in a. I don't think you could drink all the liquor in a Walmart in your lifetime. I don't think you could. I mean, you could have a goddamn good fucking life trying to. And I don't know how long, I mean, obviously electricity is going to go away. So you're going to have to just focus probably on the beer first, right? Drink all the cold beer first, and then start consuming all the liquor. And I don't know how long chips will last, but they should last a while. I mean, you got to eat all the dip too, right, before it goes bad. But then you're just left with, crackers and whiskey and rum. And, why does that seem so lonely? Because right now, fuck, that would be great, but it also just seems not great. But how could it not be great? Right? Just no responsibilities anymore. Everyone's gone, and that hurts. It's going to take you a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years, maybe a decade to get past. Well, maybe a decade. Maybe you never get over it. You never get over it. You never get over losing the people that you love. But you have all this unlimited whiskey. And as an addict, that should be the greatest thing of all time. But when you look at it in that vein, you've lost everything. So why? when everyone is still here? Why? Why can't you see that that's lonely? That's the end. You still have a chance. You're just waiting for the world to end.